ഇന്നത്തെ okay, sorry, I have to talk in English now. Sorry for that. So today what we are going to explain now, basically previously I gave you some tasks related to blog now.
Yeah.
We are going to build a blog using Symfony framework in a short span of time. How we can build it very fast.
Okay.
So that is so in this we will explain what is the basics of Symfony 6 and what is actually Symfony, and not only Symfony, we will be explaining doctrine also.
Okay.
So doctrine, what is doctrine and everything I will tell you slowly. Okay, so as far as Symfony is concerned, the main source of your learning is symfony.com documentation. So this is symfony.com, and if you go to documentation section, you have something called Symfony docs, Symfony books, and if you are we already purchased certain tutorials now, like that you can also purchase Symfony bundles, Symfony cloud, and if you wanted to get professional training, you can go for a training, but it is very costly, so leave about that. So what is actually Symfony? Symfony is you can call it a framework or a set of loosely coupled components. Basically Symfony promotes it as a components, not as a framework. So you can derive your own framework in Symfony. So you might have heard of a lot of frameworks are available in world. So one thing is like MVC framework, HMVC framework, and many kind of patterns and paradigms followed frameworks are there. If you are taking one example, Laravel, so in India it is most popular because it's MVC nature and some kind of ease of learning is very good. But as far as Symfony concerned, Symfony is like having little bit steep learning curve is there. So you need to be little bit expert in object oriented programming and how enterprise applications will be developed. So what is the prerequisites for learning Symfony? Mainly you need to be knowing PHP, HTML, CSS, and then JavaScript. So now you don't need to be a ninja and all in all these technologies, but you should have an understanding of these programming languages. So PHP is considered like server-side programming language, and then second thing is JavaScript is client-side, and you will be HTML and CSS concerned web design. So mostly you will be working with web applications only. So user interface will be designed in HTML and CSS and JavaScript only, and you will be using some tweak and dynamism for that JavaScript is required. So third thing is like not only just normal PHP, so you will be understanding the concept of object oriented programming. So I know that you guys are already gone through that object oriented programming. Mainly what kind of things you will use: object, class and objects, interface, abstract, class, final classes, inheritance, and then some concept called traits, which is available from PHP 5x onwards. Traits are available from 5.4 and above. I think that is, I'm not sure exact version, but in PHP 8 it is very much grown and very much strong concept traits. So I will explain whenever we are writing all these things now. I will explain what is the need of all these things and why we are writing and how it will be benefiting us and all these things. So for this project, what we are going to do now, this project we will be using PHP 8 version 8x. You can, it may be 8.1 and 8.2, whatever it is, and then we will be using PostgreSQL database. So even you can use MySQL, and we will be using Symfony framework, and then we will be using Doctrine as an ORM layer, and we will be using other things like HTML, CSS, and all these things. So what we need to build, I will explain what we need to build. This is the final output we have to build. So this is a block template which is created in Bootstrap 5. Bootstrap 5, you already know that now it is a CSS framework. It is also a framework used for simplifying our activities. So this is the home page. This is the output of the home page, and then this is some simple design I grabbed from internet, so we can use that for our application. So we will be using this for our application, and then if you are clicking on read, it will be redirecting to a blog page. This is only finally we are going to build. So before going to this building all these things now, let's go to the documentation and what is actually PHP. What is actually Symfony? We'll try to understand. So according to symfony.com, Symfony is a PHP framework to create websites and web applications. So if you take the current trend now, Symfony is the most leading framework built on there are many projects built on Symfony. So Symfony has some little learning curve. Due to that reason, many people will say that Symfony is not that much popular, Symfony is not good, so many things. But if you consider developing very strong and enterprise level applications, better to use Symfony, because Symfony doesn't concentrate on easing the developer job. It concentrates on strengthening the application performance, security and all these things. At the same time, if you are having some basics, no, it is very easy to learn. Without having basics, you can't do that, because everybody is expecting, if with .NET developers and all these things, no, they are expecting drag and drop feature that you can't do here. So the Symfony has a community group of 6 lakhs developers, and it is used in more than 120 countries. The contributors are from all these things. It is, if you go to why should I use framework? That is the first question. So suppose you are developing a product. So as an entrepreneur or as a product owner, I should not be investing my time and money in technology. I should be investing in my business task or my business application. So the moment I start developing an application, no? So the first moment itself, my team or myself, whoever is developing, no, should be concentrating on doing the business logics. What is the business inside that application? So if you take one example, if you take login, registration and login, it is a common task. Suppose you are doing that yourself now, so it will take like minimum of 2 to 4 days. For an experienced developer itself, it will take 2 to 4 days. So if you are a beginner, consider, no, it will take. So if you are selecting a framework having such kind of feature, the developer doesn't need to spend that much time for a repetitive normal routine work. So we can actually build that authentication system very quickly by using the framework. And the second thing is like a well-maintained framework will be providing us a guaranteed upgrading and maintenance. If you are having your own set of tools and technologies for developing your application, no, you will have to maintain a team to maintain this application and upgrade according to the industry's trend and the technology's trend. So that is the main benefit when we are using framework we are getting. So one thing is like we are not spending too much time on technology, rather than we are spending time on business development. So that is the main focus point for every product owner. So why I need to use Symfony? You need to understand all these things. So one thing is like reputation and its performance. Permanence, not performance, permanence. Reputation in the sense that it has been launched in 2005. From 2005 onwards, it is still growing. There are many frameworks came and gone in the industry, but still it is there as the industry leader. And the second thing is like permanence. So Symfony was originally created by a person who is called Fabian Potential, who was a founder of Sensio Labs, and still Sensio Labs is sponsoring this Symfony. And the third thing is its references. You have got a lot of community, social network, public sites, chat systems and many things to depend on the help, knowledge and learning. And if you suppose you want some help now, you can have a lot of chat systems and everything is available, forums and everything is available, and innovation. And Symfony doesn't create something that is existing. What they are doing now, so they are, maybe the concept is existing, but they are trying to solve the problem in a better manner. rather than reusing the existing things. If you take Laravel, no, actually Laravel, they did, no, they took Symfony components and they created a new framework. So that is what. And Laravel is more concentrating on not open source. It is open source, but they are concentrating on monetized components. They are having many components. The same thing we can use in Symfony also. Symfony is open. It doesn't block to using any other framework components. So resources in the sense that lot of consulting, training materials and everything is available, and interoperability. This is what I told. Like you can use any frameworks components here. Suppose you are taking Zen framework, right now it is called Laminas. If you are taking components from Laminas, you can use it here, Laminas framework. But sometimes, no, if you consider some other framework in Laravel, they won't allow you to use the Symfony bundle in Laravel. So nowadays most of the frameworks are encouraging this feature, but Symfony has started this option from very years back. So this is a, so why I am explaining all these things now. Suppose you are going for an interview and all, these kind of things will be asked, and also yourself can understand what is the need of Symfony. Okay, so as a developer, what is the benefit you will get by using Symfony? So you will get a framework that is structured very well, and you can reuse and it is running very fast, and you can reuse many generic modules, like I told, no, authentication and scaffolding, CRUD operation. What kind of CRUD means? What is CRUD? You know, create, read, update, delete. So basically every application, data in and out. Basically data in and out. Most of the application is doing the same thing only. For that, you have all the features built in Symfony itself. So you can actually, with one execution of a single command, you can do all these things. So that is the benefit a developer is getting. So this is the overview of Symfony, and we are actually going into what we are going to develop. So now let us consider, before going into any Symfony details and all these things, first we need to understand our problem. So let's open a Word and write down our problem. So what is the problem to be solved? First thing is like, what is our problem? We need a website displaying blog articles with the commenting feature, commenting ability, we can write it like this, with the ability to comment by registered users. So this is a problem. So first we need to understand problem we got. So what are the things we need to do? We need a website for displaying the blog articles. So what are the main activity and main actors in this application? So the one activity is like reading a blog and commenting on it. These are the activities. So reading a blog, commenting on that, and who will do that? User may be anonymous user or registered user. So the first thing is like, we need a article or post. So what are the things will come in article? So let's take one example. Some blog we can take. One blog site. This is a blog site, one sample blog. So it is like a New Break Church or something like that, some website. So if you take now, a blog will be like this. A list of articles will be there. In the home page, they will be showing recent articles, and there will be a pagination. We need to do a pagination, and there is a box content. This box content, you are having a title, and the second thing is like your having when it is posted, and if you go to inside, you are basically what you are having a title and post, and finally you can comment. So what are the comments? And in this case, it is not a registered user, it is asking for email and website and all these things. So in our case, we will have a user registration, just like one button. So this is what usually a blog. So let's try to understand what are the columns will come under blog. So in our case, first thing is like title. Second thing is like, so the content. Third thing is like posted at. Okay. Fourth thing is posted at is published. So we can't publish all of the blogs being ended. So there will be a moderator. So if moderator is published, edited and reviewed everything, we will publish that. So it is a boolean field, so a checkbox kind of things. And these are the main thing. Apart from that, if you see here, no, here we have many sections. It's called category. So every blog will belongs to a category. So we need a category. So category, if you are giving category like this, as simply a string field, you know, suppose you are typing family, one person will type a family by like this, family, another person will type a family, so it will become different, it's not unique. For that, let us move this category to a new table category. So what we will have category, first thing is name, and if you want to add, you know, is enabled. So whatever the category you are adding, you don't want to display every category in the front end, so you can have a boolean. So what we will be doing now, so this category we will show it as a related field. So here we will be relating this thing. It is called many to one many to one association. We will do that. I will explain you what is this associations and all these things. So this is what we will do. These are the post and category. And after that, one more comment. We found comment. Okay, comment, what we will have, first thing is like we will have a relation to post. So it is many to one, and then we will have comment. Okay, it is a text. Okay, we will have, next thing is like we will have one more thing, is approved. If the comment is approved, we can't publish every comments, whoever is doing that, we will review that and approve. So it's again a boolean. And then finally we have who commented. So that is a user. Who commented means it is a user. So that user, you will have a relation user, it is n to 1. So many to 1. So you don't have that user right now. So what user table we need to create. So for that, first thing is like we will have a person only user, now first name and then last name, and then we will have an email, and we need to log in now. For that we need a password, and then finally we need whether the user is enabled or not. So it's again a boolean. We can lock a user now by using. So we will have this. These are the table we will have, database tables we will have in this application. So in database we call it table, but in Symfony we call it entity. What is entity? It is basically a PHP class having the properties and getters and setters, having the properties in the private. So since you already know that what is actually access modifiers, no, I don't have to explain that. So private, protected, and public. So you will be having a class. So one example now we can take this category. So you will be having a class category, and then inside that you will be writing, you will be having the properties. So private, and then you will have dollar. So you will say what is the actually data typecasting. It is called typecasting, and then variable name, and then you will have another field, private bool, and then is enabled, and by default it is false. Okay, and then next thing is you will have some magic methods which can be generated. Public function set name. So in the set name you will be passing the name is a string. Okay, so like this you will have getter. I'm not writing everything, we will see in while we are doing that. This is a simple class which will have only the model. It is called model. It will have only the properties, attributes, properties, and functions of the specific table. So what are the data available in the table? No, this is. And apart from that, in Symfony we will have one more thing, class category repository. One more class, repository. So what is the use of this class now? So we have like this is representing a record, and a record from a table. So category table. This is referring a table from all the data you can fit, all or very few. So a collection, a table. So this is the way a table and a record is written and managed in Symfony. Okay, so this is what we wanted to build. So let's start building. Before building, we need to have setup, PHP setup. You can use PHP 8.1 locally or PHP 8.1 in Docker. So I'm not explaining what is Docker and all. Later on I will teach you what is Docker and all these kind of things. So let us start the project. So for starting now, so if it is Ubuntu, you will have a terminal and a bash terminal. If it is Mac, you will have this kind of a bash terminal, some colorful bash terminal you can have. So in this, what you will do now, you will go to your some folder. So in my case, personal apps, whatever the folder, and you can cd, and then you will first, before starting anything, first you need a Symfony CLI tool. So you have something called download. No, you can go here. In my case it is Mac. If it is Linux, no, you can do the same way, wget curl, whatever you want. And even if you have like a Mac, if you have homebrew, one tool is there, you can directly install from package manager. So in my case, I am using curl only. So I already installed. I can just curl this command. If I run now, it will get installed. So why I am telling now, again you shouldn't be coming to me like if Symfony is gone now, how to install. You should be knowing this. So then only you will be able to, if you are an individual developer, then only you will be able to set up and everything. So we can do that. So I already installed. After installing now, if you run Symfony now, you will get the what are the commands and all these available in thing. So it says Symfony CLI version 5.412. So let's check any next update is available. Sorry, it is not self update. What is the command? Server start. Symfony. Okay. Symfony help. If you do Symfony help now, it will give you all the options available in Symfony, all the commands, sub commands available in Symfony. So if you see that now, you have what does book is like a sample project in Symfony, and cloud is like an Symfony team itself is giving a company itself is giving a cloud platform to host your application. That is what cloud. And then if you go here, no, you have a lot of cloud commands, and then locally, local related thing, locally how you can run your application and optimize and all these things. That's what local. Then project. So yeah, so you have like you can actually okay, fine, we can do that later. I'm not remembering what is that command. Sorry, it's clear, it is not Symfony clear. So let's install new application. So how can we install? There are two ways of installing Symfony. You can install the Symfony if you are developing a microservices or microkernel applications and all, you can only very minimal thing you can whatever. Then after that, whatever the components you want needed, you will have to install and configure and everything one by one. But in this case, in our case, we need a complete application because we need Doctrine, Twig and all these things we need. So we will be installing web app. Web app means it is a web application framework. You will get all the things automatically configured. So just copy and then pasting Symfony new -- web app my project. So instead of my project, I'm calling it my blog. So my blog I'm calling, and again some more things are there. Suppose you wanted to specify the versions and all, you can specify. So in this case, the latest version will be installed. So latest version, what is the latest version? 6.2. So how you can check the latest version and all, I'll show you that also. Symfony releases. Symfony version check. Okay, fine. Okay, not this thing. Symfony. Yeah, this is the Symfony releases. It will give you, actually there are two kinds of versions. One is long-term support. Suppose you are a learning project, you can use the latest version, stable version. Suppose you are a long-term running project now, it's better to use a long-term support release. What is the benefit of using this now? You will get a 3 years support of bug fixes and security fixes in this. But in this case, you will only get like very 6 months. But if you wanted to immediately, if you are a new project you are starting, it's better to use 6.28 only. Later, because in the middle, another version of 6.4 will come in long-term support. That time you can immediately upgrade. But if you are not willing to do that, if you wanted a long-term support thing now, you will use LTS version, and remember that it is very harder to upgrade to new version. But in the stable release, normal stable release now, every 6 months they will release. It is easier to upgrade to newer versions. So you can see that release calendar and all these things here. So this is just to understand what are the versions and all these things. So let's create our application. So once Symfony new web app my blog. So once you run this now, they're already saying a newer version is available for the CLI, but it is okay, we can run. You will get some more speed and installation and all these things will be getting. Okay, our app has got created. Now one more thing I wanted to explain. You can see that the composer now, here composer one they are running behind. So then only they are creating this project and all. So what is a composer? Let's try to understand what is composer. So what is composer now? Composer is a kind of a package management system to standardize the open source projects, open source components. So and you can centralize, install very easily and configure the packages. So if you are like if you wanted to read about what is actually Composer, no, you can just go to here, getting started and documentation. But in our case, I'm not going to take classes on Composer. You can simply go to download Composer. You can run these commands, and finally, if it is a Linux system, you can do Linux MV, and you can pass that to US or local bin, so that it will be available in entire system. Otherwise, if you don't do that, it will be available in that folder only, specific folder only. So you can do that. So this is a thing. And Composer, what is the use of Composer now? If you go packagist.org, you can see all the published packages. Many people will be developing many things. You can see all the published packages from here. One example, we can take MPDF. We can give if MPDF now, MPDF bundle. If you give, so there are many bundles, many packages related to the same thing now. So if you take this, now, you can see the details and what is the requirements, like which version it is required and development versions. Even you can look at this, the GitHub repository of this, whether it is maintained and all these things, and who are the maintainers. If more than one developers is there, it will show. Okay, so this is the package repository for PHP package repository. Like in JavaScript, we have yarn, npm, the same concept. Okay, so this is what we need to use. Okay, you need to understand how it is working. I mean, commands and all these things. Now, Composer. So I already installed in my thing. No, so if you see Composer, no, sorry, spelling mistake. So you can see all the commands, Composer, and what is the current latest version and all these things. I mean, installed version, not latest version, installed version in my system. All these things is showing here. So mainly what are the commands you will use now? Composer require that package name, so that it will install. Another command is like Composer install, so within a project. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, now in our case, my blog. So pwd, I am not in that folder, that's why. Apps, cd my blog. So these are the files created by Symfony, so you can understand what it is. I will tell you what is the use of all these folders. So before going to that, now we can actually do Composer install. We are running this Composer install command. Let's see what happens. So it will say nothing to install, everything is installed. So if you cloned a project, this what are all the packages? No, you will not ship with that project. You will be taking it from a different repository. So for that, a Composer will use Composer will be useful. That is the benefit of it. Okay, now we created. So next thing is like what we want to develop this blog. Next tool we want an IDE. So there are many IDEs available. IDE means it is an integrated development environment. It's a kind of a text editor, basically TextMate or Sublime and all these things you can use, but it will not make your life easier. If you wanted to make your life easier and we can wanted to do very fast development, no, you can use some IDEs. Some free IDEs I can suggest now. One thing is Atom, which is Atom IDE, which is from GitHub. It is a free tool. And another thing is like what are the drawback of this free IDEs? No, you will have to configure this thing for your need, like PHP development and all these things. It's not a specialized system. Another thing is like VS Code. It's from Microsoft. You can use it for anything, any programming languages. VS Code based on some extensions, some plugins or extensions will be there. So we are going to use PHP Storm, which is a paid one, but it is not that much costly and all. It is like a personal edition, no, $99 per year you have to pay. So if you are having more projects, no, it's not like that much costly. So you can get the money from a single project itself, this thing. So if you are a personal developer and it is supporting like Symfony, Laravel, Drupal, WordPress, and Framework, Magento, Cake, whatever the PHP, no, it is having IntelliSense. You can see that now automatically it will show everything. You don't have to type everything you are by your hand, and you don't have to by heart also. Remember that you don't have to by heart anything. So this is what PHP Storm, and you can get a 30-day trial for learning, and then the pricing is like this. If you are for individual use, no, 99, and then every year you will get some discounts. Okay. So that is what tools. So I have already installed. So let's go and open my PHP Storm. So this is opened. So I have many projects in this. So in our case, we need to create a new project. So in our case, source is already there. So you can use new project from existing files. Okay, in our case, we don't, it is locally and all these things. It's better to, you can test all these settings is required only for if you are clicking on execute functionality within the IDE. But in our case, we are not going to do that. We will open the URL and do that. So we can use the, and then you go to your folder, personal and apps, no, it will automatically coming because of my frequent use. So this is my project. So select that and mark it as project root and create it and trust. Okay, so we will be opening some other codes and all. So that's why this is trusting, and it is having like SSL encryption certificates and all these things. So you nowadays lot of viruses and all these things, that is why we are trusting, then only it will open. So my project has opened here. Okay, so tip of the day and all you can close. Let's maximize this. Okay, so we can go and further. So we can see that all the bin folder, the console command and PHP unit command comes from this. So it's a console related, it is nothing to do with that. And then next thing is like config. Config is like all the configuration files related to any bundles and Symfony and everything will come here. And there is something called routes. So all the internal routes will be stored here. I will tell you what is routes and everything. And external route will be coming from here. Okay, application related routes. And then migrations, I will tell you what is migrations. Public folder, this is the index file, the web server will interact. Now I opened this project, and then let's go here, and you don't need a web server to run a PHP, Symfony thing, and PHP built-in web server which is integrated with Symfony. You can run this command Symfony serve, and then if you run now, it will be running and listening to a port and IP address, local IP address. You can copy this, go here and paste it here. Okay, since you are seeing this page, you haven't configured any home page URL. Okay, so let's do that. How can we change that? For that, we need a controller. So where the controller will go now? Inside controller folder. So what is a controller? Controller in the sense that when you are typing something, okay, one moment, when you are typing some URL here now, so home, I am typing like this. So for this URL, some class, some action, some class and function will be there. So whenever this URL is entered by the user now, from the web browser it will from the web browser it will give the request to the server. Server will find it out what is actually the class and what is actually the method to run. So this is called this is written in controller, one class called controller. So how can you create a controller? So there is one more thing in PHP Storm. Now you can run the commands and built-in terminal is there, so you can run it here, but I recommend to use this so that you can get a big screen. Okay, so now we can't type anything here because it is running. So either you can tap start one terminal, or if you don't want to run like that, no, you can just control C and you can do one command -T, so that it will go behind as a daemon, it will run background. Okay, it is running, and in that case, no, you won't be able to see the logs. Suppose you wanted to see the logs, no, you can run Symfony server log command. Okay, so now let's clear this. Let's create our first controller, homepage controller. So what is the command to create the controller? So page bin console make controller. So what is this make? Okay, make is coming from one bundle called maker bundle. It is called maker bundle. You can also create your own maker commands from this bundle. That this option is available. For that you will have to write the specific console commands and by using the services and all these things. So we can run php bin console make controller. It will ask me what is the name of the controller, orange elephant controller. So it seems to be very funny, orange elephant. Any orange elephant available? Okay, in our case we will call home controller. Okay, now it will create in src controller home controller and in template home index.php. One term. This is the controller function and this is the HTML template to render. So it's called view layer, and this is view layer, this is view layer, and this is the controller layer. So we don't have a model, we didn't started a data, so taking any data from database, that's why we don't have a model. So let's look at this file. So home controller, so they have already written by single command, we got many big things and all written. So I'm not explaining what is namespace. You should be knowing, since you are a PHP developer, you should be knowing what is namespace. It is a package management system. So they are importing many Symfony framework related abstract controller. You see that home controller is extending abstract controller. What is actually this abstract controller? No, what are the main things related to the controller functionality? No, will be written here. You will have a lot of helper functions. You will have many functions like generate URL, for generating the URL, forward, for forwarding one request to another. So forward and redirect, I'm not explaining what is forward and redirect, you should be knowing that. It's an HTTP methods. So redirect to route. So many like JSON, suppose you wanted to expose a JSON response, you can simply use JSON, this of JSON. So many built-in functions are available. So that is why we are extending this class, home controller. So let's look at what is generated. So here, this is called route. So how the route will be working, it is, if you want route component, route to be created, for that you need to install route, Symfony route component, Symfony routing component. So either in any project you can use that, not only Symfony projects, in any framework you can use, any PHP project you can use separately. So this is in PHP 8 onwards, they are using annotations as an attributes, hashed attributes. So in PHP 7 and all, you can see annotations at symbol. So route, inside route, if you look at that now, this route, if you click on this now, in the constructor, what are the things? First thing is like path. Path means what is the path you will type here. So in our case, slash. So either you can give slash or no need to give anything, because nothing we are typing, URL only, no? And you can give a name. So what is the need of this name, no? This name you will be using for referring this specific path. So for example, one page, contact page, I typed slash contact, but another guy wanted to change it to something else. Suppose you are having this slash contact in 1,000 places in our application, no? You will have to go and change one by one. So instead of that, what you will have this thing, this path here, so that this app, wherever this app home is referred, no, automatically it will reflect. So for that only this name is required, use of this name, and nothing is here. This is of render. Render is like a built-in function available in the abstract controller. It is called helper functions. Okay, this of render, home, index.html. So this is template. That is the template created. So templates, where template will be residing? Template will be residing inside templates, and you see that nomenclature of this controller, no? So whenever you are having a giving a home controller, it is home. Okay, home controller. This home, no, in small letter you can put it here, home and index. Even if you don't put like that also, it will work, but it is a practice, standard practice. So there is something called PSR standards. So PHP standards repository it is called. So if your application needs to be globally recognized, you need to follow that. And also people can easily understand, okay, home. So even they don't have to look at here. If we are looking at here, home controller, okay, home will be there. And what is the index action? So what is the name of the template? In action, no? That will be the name of the template. So you will see that HTML, apart from that, something called tweak, something new. So since being a new to Symfony, it is something new. So what is tweak, no? It is a templating language. It is a different PHP component. So if you look at here now, tweak template, tweak.symfony.com. It's a templating language used for rendering the PHP templates. So you may ask, why I need a separate language for that? Okay, I'll tell you. So in PHP you can write the template, definitely you can write the template in PHP, but there are many drawbacks like layout, structuring, and extending. Tweak is giving a flexible option how you can write this template in PHP, for PHP. So you will write the normal PHP template like this, PHP echo var, HTML special characters and all these things. But in Tweak, you can do like this. You can simply do like this. So it is very simple. And template oriented syntax, you can do this for loops and edit things. Many things, like you can create the blocks, and that blocks you can inherit in another page. You don't need to repeat that block. In the case of PHP, you will have to repeat everything, and you will have to include that also. So it's a Symfony project, a separate Symfony project, and only for the purpose of templating. Okay, you can read it and try to understand. I'm not going to take a special classes for that. So that is what template. So let's open that. What is the thing? So extends, base template. So there is something called base template, which is just a boilerplate, HTML boilerplate. It will have the head and body, and you will see that now, body block. So inside that nothing is there. So JavaScripts, style sheets like that, it is there. Inside nothing is there. So I will tell you what is this block. If you look at this index now, so they are only replacing the values of title and body. So they are not rewriting everything again and again. So automatically, if you are extending this, automatically whatever the things available in this now, it will be coming here, inherited here, and whatever you are replacing, it will be rendering. So now let's run /. Now you see. So this is our first controller in Symfony. Okay, we will take a short break, and then after that we will do next sessions. Okay.